It's hard to believe this, but gone are those days when becoming a doctor, a medical doctor, meant that you're sorted for life in India. Take FM, a 32-year-old psychiatrist, for example. She spent a third of her life slogging through medical schools and internships, and then finally she got her super specialized degree. But 2 years into her private practice in a posh South Mumbai area, and she is wondering if being a doctor, one of the most sought after careers globally, is really worth it. She charges a consultation fee of 3,000 rupees, which is sort of low by big city standards. Initially, she didn't even get a lot of patients. Her monthly overheads are modest for a small clinic in a shed set up with another doctor. And though she didn't share the actual figures with the Ken reporter Lifia Khan, she told her that her best month didn't even cover the salary of her kid's nanny. Now, if you take into account the number of years and the kind of money that these young doctors have to spend on their degree, it's turning out to be quite a financial burden for them. For context, nearly half of the total medical seats in India are in private and deemed medical colleges, which do not come cheap. Sheetal Shrigiri, a gynecologist and a counselor at a coaching center for medical entrance exams, told us that an MBBS degree at a private college costs anything between 50 lakh rupees to 1 crore. Apart from the financial burden of the degree itself, once these people become doctors, there is increasing competition from hospital chains and also the pressure of having a social media presence to deal with. Young doctors in India are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Welcome to Daybreak, a business podcast from the Ken. I'm your host Nigda Sharma, and I don't chase the news cycle. Instead, every day of the week, my colleague Rahel Philippos and I will come to you with one business story that is worth understanding and worth your time. Young doctors in India with less than 5 years of experience are really struggling to set up an independent practice. And like that wasn't enough, they're often having to forego ethics just to stay afloat. Like cutting practice, which is when doctors receive kickbacks for referring patients to other doctors or hospitals. And then, like Olivia points out, there is an added cost of playing the new age game, which is marketing, online listings, and maintaining a presence on platforms. Things that doctors didn't have to bother with just a decade ago. Also, let's not forget the NEET scandal. The country's national eligibility cum entrance test for entry into medical colleges is dealing with allegations of paper leaks. Unfortunately, now the ordeal doesn't end for aspiring students when they get through these exams. It has reached a point where the Indian Medical Association, or IMA, which is a national voluntary organization of modern medicine doctors, launched a web portal to help young doctors find jobs within the country. This was just 2 weeks ago. The association also has plans to help doctors get employment abroad, which, by the way, is going to further damage India's doctor shortage. But what else can they do when there are no other good options? Plus, these moves are just not going to cut it. For young doctors who are struggling with low patient turnouts, no ties to hospitals, and competition from private equity funded chains, these things don't really make much of a difference. To give you a better understanding of just what's in for them, let's talk about what they have to deal with before they even begin their practice. India offers a total of little more than 1 lakh medical seats. Out of these, half are in government colleges, so they are affordable. But as you know, getting through them is super difficult. For example, in Maharashtra, an MBBS from Grant Government Medical College, which is among the top 10 institutions in India, costs about 1 lakh rupees per year. The same degree in a private medical college costs between 7 to 16 lakh rupees. And at deemed universities, it is more than 25 lakh rupees per year. Now, even if you manage to get an MBBS somehow, it still won't be enough. You need another subspecialty, like an MD. A doctor at a Pune hospital told us that it is difficult to land a decent consulting job at a private hospital or even set up your own practice without it. And this will cost you another 2 to 2.5 crore rupees in a private medical college, including fees and other costs. Now, say you got lucky and you managed to do this as well. What next? You'll want to set up your own practice, right? But for that to work, you'll have to be able to offer the latest treatments with the latest equipments if you want patients to choose you over corporate hospitals or other doctors. Take a dermatology clinic, for example. A doctor told us that it takes anything between 40 to 50 lakh rupees to start a good one. But how will you be able to do it if you have the burden of a massive student loan? It doesn't just end here. Stay tuned. The thing with running an independent practice is trust, but it is hard for young doctors. Like FM, the South Bombay psychiatrist, for example. There are at least 5 more psychiatrists near her clinic who come with a decade or more experience and naturally have more trust. She told us how these days corporate hospitals or their branded clinics, like, say, for example, the Apollo Clinic chain, are everywhere. So, most people, if they do not know a good doctor in their area, just end up going to these branded clinics because there is some expectation of quality. 3 of the doctors who spoke to the Ken said that there is a reason that these chain clinics charge less money. The doctors claim that these clinics also act as feeders to their main hospitals where they can refer patients to higher ticket treatments and surgeries. And then there is the telemedicine boom post pandemic. Some doctors like FM get patients online for the same charge as their clinical consultations. But there is another side to it. Free video consultations and cheaper telemedicine services are also derailing the business of many private practitioners. An MD physician from Mumbai who did not want to be named told the Ken that since 2020, patients are okay with sitting at home and talking to doctors online, especially if they do not need physical examination. Many doctors charge less online compared to private clinics, and some healthcare companies even offer free consultations. So you see how chasing a return on investment is super difficult and complex. Most young doctors choose a commission based setup. They work many years at a private hospital with a 60 is to 40 fee sharing model. And this helps them build a patient base before opening their own high cost clinics. Sheikh, who is an MBBS MD, for example, juggles a private practice in Pune, a super specialty as an intensive care expert, and as a hospital administrator for a nursing home. His days stretch to beyond 16 hours. During COVID, Sheikh had applied for a job in a hospital in Oman. There were 600 candidates just for 4 positions. So, what Sheikh has done is that he's partnered with a pathology company and set up a small lab within his clinic, absorbing about 40% of the pathology costs. He told us that for sticking to private practice, resilience isn't enough. It needs deep pockets and even a certain kind of nerve. Plus, patients now want a premium experience, like fancy looking clinics, appointment reminders, electronic prescriptions, and digital records. And of course, there's also online and social media marketing that these doctors need to do. Those who can't do it themselves have to shell out money for it. So you see, a new medical economy seems to be emerging in India, mostly being shaped by corporate giants. And in this space, it seems that the days of the independent practice are numbered.
Daybreak is produced from the newsroom of the Ken, India's first subscriber-focused business news platform. What you're listening to is just a small sample of our subscriber-only offerings. A full subscription unlocks daily long-form feature stories, newsletters, and podcast extras. To subscribe, head to theken.com and click on the red subscribe button on top of the Ken website. Today's episode was hosted by Snigdha Sharma and edited by Rajiv CN.